Have you ever loved someone so deeply, even though they kept breaking your heart? You knew they were hurting you, but something inside you just couldn't let go. That's not weakness, that's a trauma bond. And today we're going to talk about what that really means and why walking away feels impossible until you finally understand it. The same brain chemicals that make us fall in love can also trap us in pain. When love and fear exist in the same relationship, your nervous system starts confusing chaos for connection. That's the psychology of a trauma bond. And once you see it clearly, you can finally break free. Sometimes the soul holds on, not because it's meant to, but because it's trying to heal something old. What feels like love can actually be an old wound asking to be seen. This is the deeper truth behind trauma bonds, and it's time to free yourself from what was never love in the first place. Trauma bonds. Why is it so hard to leave someone who hurts you? Sometimes we stay connected to people who hurt us, not because we're weak, not because we don't see what's happening, but because something much deeper is going on inside of us. It's not just love. It's not just hope. It's something psychologists call a trauma bond. A powerful emotional attachment formed through cycles of pain and intermittent kindness. A trauma bond makes you crave the very person who breaks you. It's that confusing push and pull where your mind says, I deserve better, but your heart aches for them. They're toxic. It's destroying your peace, but walking away feels like trying to breathe underwater. Now, let's talk about why that happens. When we bond with someone, our brain releases chemicals like oxytocin and dopamine, the same ones that create feelings of love and safety. But when that relationship also includes fear, shame, or emotional neglect, our nervous system gets trapped in survival mode. We start associating love with anxiety, safety with tension. Our body becomes addicted, not to the person, but to the emotional roller coaster they bring. In a healthy love, your nervous system calms down. In a trauma bond, it stays on high alert. You're constantly chasing the next good moment, hoping it'll make the pain worth it. What makes it even more confusing is that the person who hurts you isn't always cruel. Sometimes they show incredible tenderness right after causing pain. That's what creates the loop. You start clinging to those brief moments of kindness like oxygen. You convince yourself that this time maybe they'll change. But what's really happening is intermittent reinforcement, the same psychological mechanism that keeps people gambling at the slot machines. You never know when the next reward will come, so you keep hoping, keep trying, keep waiting. And then there's the spiritual side. Sometimes our soul feels tied to them. You might think, we must be meant to be together. I feel them in my energy, my dreams, my heart. But here's the truth. Sometimes that intensity isn't destiny. It's trauma familiarity. It feels like home, not because it's right for you, but because it mirrors the emotional pattern you grew up in. If you were raised around instability, criticism, or conditional love, your nervous system learned that love and pain go hand in hand. When you meet someone who recreates that dynamic, your subconscious says, this feels familiar. This must be love. But what feels familiar isn't always safe. And what feels safe at first can later reveal itself as a repetition of old wounds. That's why trauma bonds are so powerful. They just don't connect you to the person, they connect you to your unhealed parts. Every time they hurt you, it reopens the same emotional wounds from your past. Abandonment, rejection, shame. And every time they apologize or show affection, it gives your inner child a tiny moment of relief. That cycle keeps you hooked because part of you believes if I can just make them love me right, maybe I'll finally be enough. But here's the spiritual truth. Healing doesn't come from convincing someone to treat you better. Healing begins when you finally realize that you were never the problem to begin with. When you start understanding trauma bonds, you see how your heart's loyalty was never a weakness. It was survival. Trying to rewrite your pain story. You wanted to fix what was broken through the one person who broke you. And when that realization hits, it's both heartbreaking and liberating because you see how much of your love was really just a cry for safety. A cry to finally be seen, valued, and cherished, not as a fragment, not as an option, but as a whole soul. Leaving a trauma bond isn't just walking away from a person, it's breaking a cycle. It's grieving not just what they did to you, but what you wanted them to be. It's mourning the fantasy more than the reality. And yes, you'll go through withdrawal because you're detoxing from emotional highs and lows. You'll miss them, even when you know they hurt you. You'll think about all the good moments and wonder if it was all in your head. But that's just part of healing process. Your body's recalibrating. Your nervous system is learning what calm feels like again. One of the hardest things to accept is that closure doesn't come from the person who hurt you. It comes from the moment you decide, I don't need to keep reliving this pain to prove I'm worthy of love. And that's when the real healing begins. Slowly, you start remembering who you were before the chaos. You start noticing peace. Feels strange at first, almost boring, because your nervous system isn't used to it. But then one day, that quiet starts to feel safe. You begin to find joy in small things again. You start reclaiming your energy, your laughter, your sense of self. You begin to realize that the love you were begging for from them, you can now give it to yourself. And that's what breaks the trauma bond. When you finally become the source of your own safety, your soul no longer chases chaos disguised as love. The deeper spiritual lesson of trauma bonds is self-reconnection. It's the universe's way of showing you where your wounds are still bleeding. Not to punish you, but to help you finally heal them. Because once you do, you stop attracting people who trigger your trauma and start welcoming people who reflect your peace. You learn that love should make you anxious. It should make you question your worth. It should feel grounding, steady, calm. It should feel like whole, not like survival. If you are in the middle of that cycle right now, please don't shame yourself for not leaving yet. Be gentle with your healing. Because leaving isn't just a decision, it's a process, a gradual awakening. It takes courage to let go of what once felt like everything, even when you know it's breaking you. But trust me, every step away from what hurts you is a step closer to what's meant for you. And you'll know you're healing when peace no longer feels foreign and chaos no longer feels like love. Your strength isn't in holding on. It's in learning to release, let go. And one day you look back and realize that what felt like a heartbreak was actually your soul's way of setting you free. Because real love won't require you to lose yourself. To keep it, it will meet you in your wholeness, not your wounds. And when that love arrives, you'll finally understand why the universe had to break that bond first, so you could finally become the person who could receive it. If this message spoke to your heart today, take a deep breath and know Healing is already happening. It's happening inside you. You're breaking the pattern simply by understanding. You were never meant to live in emotional survival. You were meant to live in peace. If this video resonated with you, subscribe for more healing talks and take a moment today to thank yourself for listening, for awakening, and for choosing freedom over familiarity. Have a good one. Love you all. Take care.